What's up guys, welcome to Daily Refinement. In this video I'm going to show you my new and updated inventory system. You will never lose another item again, so please watch all the way to the end of the video. I'm going to explain how this whole system works. Alright guys, let's get into it. So this is my numerical system. It's numerical, sequential, chronological, it's date based. So the smallest number is always going to be the oldest item. So this is the first item I listed, second item, third item, fourth item, all the way to infinity. You can also see in this system, you can sell different size items. So here I have a really tiny item that's not bagged. I have a pair of shoes. It all fits into this box system. And I think it's really important to pick a box size that matches the type of items that you sell. And ideally, if the number sticks out in the front of the box, you don't need to number anything on the front of the box, which makes sense because once that number sells, it wouldn't be accurate anyway, and you have to cross it out and make a new number. So if your number just sticks up above the box and number 1 sells, you could pull through number 2, and now number 2 would be at the front, and you don't need to write anything. This will just be 2 through 10 because 11 is starting in the next box. So this type of system allows you to consolidate. So let's say before we get the consolidation, number 4 sells. So number 4 sells, it comes out. Now people will ask, should I reuse the number 4? Now you could reuse the number 4, but the way I look at it is these numbers should be social security numbers, meaning they should not duplicate ever. So number 4, once it's sold, that's it. There is no more number 4. Instead of going number 4, you would go number 14 and add the next number, and that way you wouldn't reuse number 4. Because if you do number 4 and replace it, number 4 ends up being a newer item. So we don't want it to be messed up as far as date goes. So number 14 would be back here. So down here, let's say we list number 14 and number 15 coming up next. I recommend you put them in after listing the item because you don't want to put away items that are not listed, because it ends up items are in here but they're not listed. You might forget about them and it might take years before you come back and figure it out. So I don't recommend bagging until the item is already listed, then you throw it in here. So the way that you consolidate, because this is one of the biggest questions, is these boxes will eventually empty out. And so what you'll do is, I work from left to right. So back here is number 10. Since 11 has enough room, I would slide everything forward, put 11 in here, and I would slide everything in this box to the front, creating all this additional space. Sometimes the entire box is empty like this, and I'll put this all in here. And then this one I can take out and put near my listing station and fill it with the new numbers that are the oldest numbers and the highest numbers. So this system keeps you really organized. Everything is sealed and you can visually see what items are the oldest. So you can come back and say, what happened to number 1, number 2, number 3? Why are they still in my system? You can easily check your system. If you have this SKU number in your custom SKU, you can search. And if you search for 0001 and it's not even listed, then you know to go back and do it. And if you search for it and there's something wrong with the title or the pricing or the description or the photos, you'll know something's probably wrong with it because it's so old. So numbering your items really helps you understand what the oldest items are. Also, if you end up putting the wrong number or putting it out of order, if number 1 is put out of order, and let's say you put it back accidentally over here, it's still going to be in the same region. It's going to be easy to find because you know it's in the 000 section. You'll be able to easily see the mistake. When you're going through your system as you're pulling inventory, you can easily fix any mistakes that happen, but it's pretty straightforward since you always put the oldest item in the back of the inventory. It's pretty straightforward. When I had this system with up to 20,000 items, I never really lost anything because it's so clear by what numbers are on here, what's missing and what's available. You sort your custom SKU and your pick list, and you walk through your inventory system one time and pick number 1, number 7, number 12, all the way up to your highest number. Instead of having to walk back and forth in your warehouse, you just make one trip through the whole thing, get all of the numbers, and it just makes it a lot easier. Just a quick note on supplies. I recommend you get the best shelves you can afford. I got mine from Home Depot. They're called Husky shelves. They're like 6.5 feet wide and 6.5 feet tall. So these shelves have done really well for me, and I've had them for about 7 years. Really long lasting, really durable. And in the case that you downsize, they're easy to resell. I sold a few of them for actually more than what I paid for it because costs go up, so your shelves actually will appreciate in value. If you get cheap shelves though, you'll eventually just throw them away and you won't get any value back from them. So once you have shelves, get ones with adjustable shelves and figure out what type of inventory you sell. In those, you can choose whether to pre-bag them in plastic bags or not. Either way, it's going to affect your box shape. I use the boxes that are 30 by 8 by 8, but you can choose any kind of box custom fit for your types of items. So everyone in our group, we've been doing this group at patreon.com/theresourcepodcast, uses custom boxes for what they sell. Don't just copy my system. Take this system, but add in your specific boxes, your specific bags. I recommend getting 10 by 13 for clothes and 12 by 15 for shoes. They can fit up to size 13. If you want to go really big, you can get 19 by 24, but that's really for really large items like parkas or coats. And for those, I actually recommend you just use a rolling Z-rack if you have one, because those items are so bulky that sometimes it ends up just being one item per box. There's actually nothing wrong with that, because if you do use one item per box, when it's sells, you can just do what we did earlier in the video and take that box out and recycle it. One thing I do want to note is when you have this system and this one ends up being empty, you take the second row far left one and move it up here, so it moves like a snake. These ones end up going up here all the way through the entire system. So the labels that I use on the front of the bag, those labels are from Avery.com. Avery supplies labels and printers and ink, and they just are a simple supply thing, but essentially it's a 1.5 by 2.5 label. They also use those for Amazon FBA. So labels, bags, boxes, shelves, pretty straightforward. Don't overcomplicate it. I recommend you don't write numbers on the front if you have the numbers. This system that I have currently behind me is for replenishable items, and that's when you have more than one of the same thing. The way that I actually did them is based on Tech and Sports' system, and it's actually by color. It's color coordinated. So orange, purple, blue, green, they're all in their own section, and the number on the front is just what size it is. So I cross out the number when that size sold, and I know now how many items are left in the box. That system worked for me. The consolidation is a little bit different, because if you only have 2 greens, you can't fill it up with orange. You just leave it until the greens are completely sold out. So you need a little bit more space for replenishable items, but this is one way to keep track of multiple systems in the same one, as long as you have categories and sections. So this section of my inventory system is based on color. Another inventory system might be based on chronological. So you got to be organized, because as you grow, you have lots of different categories to keep track of.